What's up, guys? So I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend with their family and got to enjoy that a little bit. I'm about to go over the charts here real quick, but if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment below. It helps the channel grow, and ultimately I'm trying to help everyone learn more about the markets. So if you could do me that favor, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're at all interested in joining the Discord, it's completely free. For right now anyways, it won't always be free. Take advantage of this. I post in here my trade setups, my thoughts throughout the day, kind of what I'm looking at, and as well as the growth account challenge and what moves I'm making with that. So the link's in the description below if you want to check that out. Like I said, it's free for right now. Take advantage of this. Ask me any questions you need. But let's get into the charts. So I want to start with ES on a bigger time frame here on a weekly chart. And this isn't to bring fear into the market or yourself or your trading, whatever. More so just to acknowledge that it's highly likely we get a correction sooner rather than later. We can still push up for a while, but based off historical overbought levels, we're at 80.4 right now. Obviously, we're still trading this whole week. But if you go back, we've only pierced this 2 other times in history. And right here's the other time. So we pushed up another 9 weeks, I think it was. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including this one. We came back and did not negate the overbought conditions. Pushed up again, held the 8. So got to 9 and then flushed down. And this was, I believe, a around 12% correction. Yeah, 12% in 2 weeks. So pretty fast. And the only other time we pierced this overbought condition before, I guess here you could say that, we slightly went higher, red week the next week, was this one right here. Back in 1995, and we went up for another 3 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, pulled back, went sideways, continued to pull back. This was only a 5% correction though. But basically what I'm saying is, based off historical overbought conditions, I would imagine we're getting close to that top. Like I said, here we pushed up for another 9 weeks. So we can go for another 2 months. That doesn't mean tomorrow we pull back. But we have to be aware that we are definitely in the territory for a pullback. And that could be 5%, 10%. I'm leaning towards a 10% correction. Like I said, this one was 12%. And it can go pretty quick. So you want to be nimble, fast, ready to cut your positions if you would have to. But you're just following trends, basically. So right now we're above the 8 exponential to 20. We're still extended. We've been more extended before, so we can continue to just grind up. But like I said, we have to be mindful that we are definitely in the area where we should anticipate a pullback is more likely than not. So caution is definitely warranted at this point. Breaking down to the daily chart, we have some minor divergence on the daily chart that can easily be negated with another push up. Still holding the 8, still holding the 20. We never pulled back to the buy zone last week. So right now, this right here is our new daily higher low being set at 52.63. And that's the line in the sand for right now to keep the daily uptrend going. A break of that. So if we would pull back, we already hit our higher high. If we break this, we would anticipate a lower high. We need a deep enough pullback for that. And then that to change to get any kind of longer term consolidation here. But we obviously have the 20 period moving average below and this buy zone. So if we would pull back, say earlier this week, come down here, I would still say this is going to be a buy because you have the 20 period sloping up and short term that could get a bounce. That doesn't mean that's, going to hold forever or for a long period of time. It could be for an hour, a couple hours, who knows. But we'll get a reaction there if we pull back pretty quick. It'll be a good trade. Going to NQ, we still have this bearish divergence, very slight on the weekly, and this can easily be negated by another push up. So just have to keep that on watch. But if we push up into the earlier part of this week and maintain that for the weekly close, this is negated and no longer something we should really keep on the table for future concern. So still in a weekly uptrend, still holding the 8, 20. Story has not changed there. We had a weekly inside bar from last week, so I want to see the top of this candle close bullish, and for us to get follow through for the bulls. Obviously, bears, you'd want to close below this low here and come down into maybe this buy zone, the weekly 8. But for right now, we're in a daily uptrend. So we tried to break out this day, rejected, but we're still pulling back. That to me is still part of the pullback. Here's your daily higher low that was set. We had an inside bar bull break today. So 18,378.5 is our next key zone for the Nasdaq, and we're trying to push up and continue this uptrend right now. Nasdaq is still obviously weaker than SPY, so any kind of pullback I think is going to be much worse over here. Right now we're in an uptrend though. There's no reason to fight this trend until we get some kind of signal that tells us we should be bearish to indexes themselves. You could try to play bearish if we would push up into this trend line. You can see obviously we rejected there, poked above it here, slightly poked above it there, almost hit it here, poked above it here. So it's definitely an area to look for shorts. You could try. It'd be an aggressive entry, obviously, because we could push and just negate this entirely. I just have it just because I noticed that it was continually acting as some form of resistance zone. And I got that off the 4-hour chart, actually. So you can see it a little bit clearer over here. You can see we just changed our 4-hour uptrend. Lower high, higher low, higher high. And now we either continue to push upwards or consolidate, hold this low right here, and push again. So ideally, bulls don't want to see us below this candle right here at 18,447.5 and continue to push up, break that weekly inside bar bullish, and continue this uptrend that we have going on. Obviously, like I was saying earlier, just keep in mind, we are definitely looking for a pullback in the near term. Within these next few weeks, next few months, I would anticipate we're probably getting a pullback. Nothing goes up forever, and that's what this market has been for quite a while, since October pretty much of last year on ES. So you're looking at 5 months of upside pretty much. As far as charts, I'm not sure if I want to continue to monitor SMCI. Like I said, the last time, this chart's super busy, but the last time I was looking at this, I was saying we could tighten up for a while, and that's playing with the chop. But overall, we are still really extended on this monthly chart. We have a large upper wick from last month. So ideally, I would have liked to see us close lower, like towards this area, and have a very large upper wick to signal that we should probably try to break this low and follow through. We could just chop here. I'm not really sure how to look at this, to be honest. We're definitely hot. We need consolidation. The 20 period's far from price right now, so is the 8. But at the same time, it doesn't mean we have to come down. I would anticipate we do, but so we could grind sideways for a while, maybe form an inside bar. But if you break down to the weekly, right, this is something I was saying to the members. I think it's highly unlikely that we continue to make another high, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So you can see back here, we got pretty extended, came up, pulled back, cooled off overbought conditions, got close to the 8, touched it, and then pushed up again, created bearish divergence, and then sold off after that. So it's not like we can't push up. We definitely can. Right now we're trying to find our weekly higher low. We bounced off the 8. Tried to push up this week. Upper wick again, still showing selling pressure up here. And that's that zone I was talking about. It was a stone cold short. So this could get a little bit more difficult, but we have a weekly inside bar right now, right? So that mother bar, inside bar, breaking this bullish would squeeze out any shorts that came into the game again, and maybe we make another high, set some divergences here, and then sell off. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how to read this and if it's worth it right now. I said, you look at that monthly chart, and I'm looking at this as this needs to consolidate, and it ultimately will, and it could be a great short. Like if the market pulls back, this thing will get slammed. When's the question? The thing is, I trade options, and you have time decay and volatility, and that can get eaten away. So your premium just evaporates. So your entries do matter. Timing does matter. If you break this down to the daily chart, we're just looking for a daily high or low after that pullback. And honestly, this volume is nothing for that pullback. Like here, I was like saying how we traded sideways a little bit. So I kind of threw that volume out the window and said, yeah, I know it was higher at the top and there was definitely selling pressure. But then this day, you can see volume was lower, even lower, but it was getting lower also into the weekend as well as far as the holiday weekend. So um, this week's going to be telling with this stock. This is a must hold for the Bulls, absolute must. So I have my drawings here, which I'll load in a second. And now the chart's really cluttered at this point. But basically, if I can zoom in a little bit, you can see we had a huge drop down, lower high, which is what I was trying to short against. We hit that zone, started to pull back. So it's playing out according to plan. But right now we have this daily inside bar, and we're trying to find our higher low on the daily. This is what I was saying is probably this whole green zone. It's going to support the stock temporarily. We got close to it, bounced it. Regardless if we break this inside bar bearish, so say we continue to trade down into earlier in the week, we're still looking for that daily higher low. So I also have this trend line here and just connected these 2 points since this insane rally and all this consolidation to see if we form a triangle here. So maybe we pull back, come down here, and I want to see how we interact if we would pull back down to there. Maybe we try to tighten up. So I have these touches here, that slightly broke above, another touch here, or I think I almost touched, and see if this forms some sort of triangle for another push. If not, I think we're going to probably trade down to sideways, which is make the most sense with the monthly chart and just cool that off, eventually fill this gap. I think we're ultimately in longer term consolidation. I'd be shocked if the Bulls could muster another push up, but nothing's out of the realm of possibility, I guess. I just would say it's unlikely, but it's possible. We have earnings next month, so maybe we come down, tighten up, into earnings for like something like this, and then bust to the upside or the downside. Considering how this sector has been going, maybe this does actually break to the upside. We just pull back higher low compared to this low, lower high compared to this high over here, and we just chop and then go into earnings or maybe start to rally into the earnings. You know what I mean? Because everyone knows that they're going to be good, something like that. We could side skirt this consolidation that's due until after that earnings and then consolidate after that. I've heard people talk about that a lot of these orders, the reason why we have this high growth rate is because people are buying more than they need, and eventually that growth rate will slow, and that could be where we have this straw that breaks the camel's back as far as semis. Who's to know, really? Right now, you're just looking at an inside bar, looking for a daily higher low. Going to Nvidia, we have price targets much higher. We're trying to form our daily higher low right now. You can see here we are trying to defend the 20. We closed above it both days to close the week. We have a daily inside bar. Based off of our push up and pull back, we hit also the golden pocket, but we're trading below the 8. So bulls want to see this inside bar break bullish starting Monday. Based off of the pullback, we should honestly anticipate more of this action. So maybe a break, lower high compared to this high, maybe a higher low compared to this low, and see if we can push up from there. We have price targets for 1100, and this is a very bullish stock, so it's not like it can't do that. We still have this weekly gap down here that ultimately will fill. So just have to keep our eye out for that. I don't think that's filling until the whole market gets a pullback, though. If you really think about how this market has been, it's been driven by the semis. So, like I was saying with ES, we're in the lookout over these next couple of weeks to months of the pullback. I believe very strongly that's the most likely scenario. Before summer, we'll get the pullback of 5 to 10%. And if that happens, this is filling this weekly gap. So pick your poison on what you want to trade. Um, right now, this is still bullish. We're bullish on every time frame pretty much, except for shorter term time frames. But at the same time, this pullback, we did have some higher volume on Wednesday, but that was at the bottom of the low, so looks like more dip buying right now. We want to see the bulls break that inside bar. So break above 913 and the daily uptrend continues. But like I said, with the extent of the pullback, we're just looking for a lower high compared to the previous one. So this could end up chopping for a little bit. We'll have to see. Tesla pullback the last couple of days going into the weekend. We still have to keep an eye out that this is just another weekly bear flag for a lower target. You can see we had an inside bar, bull break, upper wick, rejecting off the 8. We can still continue to pull back into earnings. So this is still bearish. I'm bullish long-term Tesla and want to accumulate it, but at the same time, it's not really getting follow through you'd want to see. Right now we're closing above the 8, which is good. We tried closing above the 20, but we couldn't. And we closed above this neckline here for the inverse head and shoulders that I was talking about. And that target's still up here at around 200. Have this gap right here to fill. So if the market goes bullish into the earlier part of this week, I'd imagine it's going to pull Tesla up with it. We'll see how that works out. But basically right now, if you look at it, we have our low, lower high compared to this high, higher low, higher high. We just changed the trend. Ultimately, we're looking for a higher low compared to this low down here to keep the uptrend going. Maybe then we follow through, fill this gap, hit this target for the inverse head and shoulders, and see what happens from there. We have a lot of resistance in this area, but we also have this gap above that as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about CGC. It was brought to my attention the previous week that Germany legalized marijuana. I'm not really a fan of trading these stocks anymore. You can definitely make some money on them, but this is something that I would only touch with shares really anymore at this point. So we broke out the other week on very high volume, but it's relative, the dollar volume, because the price per share is a lot lower than it was up here. We had our high weekly volume. Last week we have an indecision bar, but we are above the 50, the 20, the 8, and that's the first time in a very long time. You're talking about 2021. So the last time we had our crazy push up. It could be indicating that a squeeze longer term is coming, a bigger squeeze. We'll have to see, though. This is not a stock I really want to invest in, to be honest. I'm more for like a MSOS, which is an ETF for the United States marijuana companies. But this news is Germany related, so I'm not sure really how much that's going to impact that area of the market. But right now, if you look at this, we're in a daily uptrend, right? So push up, higher low, higher high, but we have bearish divergence. So bears are selling into that right now. You can see that with last week's candle. We have the rejection from the new high, indecision candle, but that's a pretty big body. So should look for a potential pullback to reset another higher low compared to that low right there. We are in a hourly downtrend just based off extended hours. So any lower high here is, shorting against this high is a good short opportunity for myself. and see if we get further downside for weekly consolidation, set our weekly higher low. Going over to MSOS to see how this is performing, because this is ultimately the safer one to invest in. I mean, obviously we're in a long-term downtrend over here, but we're starting to turn the tides here. So you can see we're starting to close above the 8, 20, 50. It's all support. This could turn into a longer-term bull market here. This is an election year, so politicians are definitely going to talk about it and possibly run on this. So that could be a spark for momentum in this year as far as this sector, and something you might want to keep an eye on. Right now, the most important level is 1064, which is the last weekly, breakout high. And bulls want to maintain 730 as far as any pullbacks on a weekly. Ideally, hold this 20 as it keeps curling up if we would consolidate and bust out of this. So that would be more of a tightening range, even though we had this little blip here. So you'd have pullback, lower high, higher low, tighten up a little bit, bust out to a new shorter term high, 52-week high. Well, I'm also sort of looking at it in case we would bust out pretty hard here. I'm looking at this zone, 1312 up to 1460. You can see we have wicks over here. Broke through it, wicked there, almost touched it here. Broke through it there, wicked there. Broke through it and rejected it again. So this zone here is going to be some sort of resistance. If there's any bag holders here, we traded within that area for like 6 months. So I can see us coming up here, getting a little extended, and bear sitting around here and trying to play off that. But like I said, we need to keep this on watch going into this year, just because this could actually start to really rip with it being an election year. So I'm going to start watching this a little bit more regularly here. Maybe not trade it, but just keep an eye on it. Like I said, I'm more interested in MSOS. It's the safer ticker. It's not being diluted like Cgc and a lot of these other companies. I don't even want to touch them. To me, it's like playing with fire. If you choose to trade them, I wish you the best of luck, but I'm not touching it. So MSOS is the only thing I'm even considering at this point. I don't want to sit in any kind of overnight headline risk and get wrecked. So if I do decide to swing trade something, it's going to be this. And I want to see longer term trends change. And right now, this is actually looking pretty good, but I would rather us tighten up here. It'd be really nice to just get the weekly higher low, maybe even a lower high, and just tighten up a little bit and bust out, play that break on volume. But as far as the earlier part of the week, that's all I'm kind of looking at right now. This is just very brief, coming after a longer weekend. And I'm not sure what I'm going to trade tomorrow exactly. Like I was saying before, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button if you watched to the end of this, I'd really appreciate it. Leave a comment below. Let me know how you're doing in your trading, anything at all. As well as if you're watching this, you're not in Discord. Like I said, it's free. Take advantage of it. Join. It's not always going to be free. Ask me any kind of questions. Here's the growth account challenge that I update in. I post where the account's at right now. And free trading floor, I post my trade setups, my theses, thoughts, and ideas, entries, exits, everything's in here. So you can ask me any kind of questions you like. Until next time, I wish you the best in the markets.